Okay, we just finished the text shadow, but now we're on page 100 talking about the class ID and descendant. This is all about those selectors. So let's start. First of all, maybe a 4 here rather than a... I'm still kind of curious. Let's take us back to something reasonable like 10 and 4. I'm just trying to figure out what that was going to look like. Oh, okay, I blew it. Who cares? The topic at hand now is how to build these selectors. Okay, so there's some really weird rules. Let's say, for example, this P is going to change. I'm going to put everything back the way it was. Okay, I'm going to go back to just using something simple like color. Okay, so it should be fairly obvious that I'm encouraging you to use this technique rather than the inline technique. That should be fairly obvious, particularly when you want to apply multiple times. Okay, so I have 2 paragraphs here. What this basically means is find every single paragraph tag and change the text to red. Well, what if that's not what you wanted? What if you just wanted one of those paragraphs to change red? Just one. So how do I tell the selector that I don't want everything? I just want 1 or 2 of them. Maybe I only want 1/3 of them to be red, not all of them. So how do you do that? Well, you do this with a class attribute. So I'm going to go to this particular paragraph, and I'm going to, remember attributes, right? Class equals, and put something in quotes. So you can call these classes whatever the heck you want. You can call this one kumquat if you wanted. But it kind of sort of makes sense to have a term that actually makes sense. Like in this case, I want to say red text. Okay? Red text. So what I've done is I've applied a class attribute to this paragraph, but only that paragraph. Hey, let's do a couple more, so I have more than one paragraph to deal with. So Mary had another little lamb. How many lambs does she have? So I have 3 paragraphs now. 2 of them have the class attribute, and 1 of them does not. Okay. So instead of going up here and just saying P to make that work, I'm going to talk to that new thing that we did and use it with a dot operator. Dot red text. Okay. I know that's a little weird. So when I create a class, to talk to the class, I use a dot operator. I don't know. Hey, what the heck? So let's run this. 2 of the paragraphs should be red and the other paragraph should not. Yay! It worked. Okay. So that kind of makes sense, right? So this is a way to apply multiple things, but selectively. P is a broad brush approach. Just the letter P means, look, I don't care what. Every single P in the entire document changes. This means I don't care what it is. It could be a block quote, could be a paragraph, could be whatever. As long as it's been decorated with this class thing called red text, I'll apply it there. So this is a more surgical approach. It basically says, I want to apply this here, 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 and here, and I don't care what tag's being used. It could be a paragraph tag, could be something else. I don't care. Okay. So, for example, if I was to go here and let's do an unordered list with a list item of, I don't know, 1, and then have another list item of 2. What if I just wanted 1 of those things to be red? Well, just pick 1 and say class equals red text. Isn't that pretty cool? All right, let's run this. See? So using class means don't just broad brush me. Make things very, very specific. Now, I'll admit there's a little bit of work involved here because you have to go to every single place where you want this to occur and decorate it. In other words, every single place you want red text, you're going to have to go add this thing called class equals red text. So it's not exactly consequence-free doing this, but it works pretty doggone cool. All right. There's some rules for doing the names for these things. Let's just go through them. Number one is typically pick a name that's descriptive, not class 1 or something like that. Make it read human, so humans could look at that and go, well, I'm not exactly certain, but it looks like it's going to change the text to red, okay, without having to go back, because it could be, remember now, it could be that this style is not even going to be in this document. It could be external. So if you just had the HTML file and you did not have the other file handy, I want you to be able to look at that class and know what's going to happen. Okay, cool. That's the first rule. Do not use spaces. And technically, I could do this. Technically. Yes, I could. But trust me, you don't want to do that. It causes trouble. Okay. Start with a letter. You can't start with a number. And I typically use uppercase just because, attribute names and tags are lowercase. So it's very obvious if I had, a P tag here, right? And then I had something, with capital letters. So it just makes it a little easier. Now here's an interesting question. Are these things case sensitive? Okay, what do you think? Well, remember I talked about HTML itself is not case sensitive. Remember that? Well, guess what? CSS is. CSS is case sensitive. So yeah, if you pick red text with a capital R and a capital T, well then by God, that's what you're going to have to use here too. All right. So when to use? That's always a good question. So whenever I want to apply the same CSS to multiple items in the page, that not necessarily the same tag. Like in here, I'm applying it to an LI tag and a P tag, but I don't care what tag it is. So that's when you would use this. There's another one called ID. And the ID is kind of sort of the same thing. I'm going to go here and say, instead of having class, I'm going to say ID. And I'm going to call this one, I don't know, red text 2, just to make sure it's not the same. Okay. Now, for reasons that just to make things weird, for classes, I use the pound sign. For ID, I'm sorry. Let me start over. For classes, I use the dot. For IDs, I use a pound sign. And so I can go here and say color blue. So this is going to work. So, well, let's just render it. It's no big deal. All right, so what's the real difference? What's the difference between using class and ID? Well, from the way it works, there's no practical difference between the two. The naming conventions are the same and all that. The only really weird part is that the ID can only be used once. It's unique in the world. In other words, there can only be one red text 2 in the entire page. So most people, if they had a choice between using class and an ID, most people will use class because that way later on, let's say, well, I only got one of them, so I'm just going to go ahead and call this, red text 2 and be done. And then later you come back 6 months later and you say, well, I'm going to use that thing over again. You're going to get an error that's going to say, dude, you can't have two things called red text 2. And you go, dang. So yes, ID is there, and I don't use it, mainly because it doesn't give me any advantage. Okay, so where do you use? Well, I just told you it wasn't such a good idea, but yes, if you knew for sure there was only going to be one of these in your document, I guess you could use the ID. Okay, whatever. All right. And once again, CSS is, so just like before with using class, the ID is also case sensitive. All right. So, descendant. Now this is a little weird, okay? What this basically means is I want to find something, but I want to narrow my search. You know how like you do in a Google search and you say vacations and you get this huge list. If you said vacations in Texas, then you get a smaller list. And you say vacations in Central Texas, you get a smaller list. That's what we're talking about. So I'm going to have to go back to like P tags one more time. Okay, I'm hang on a second. I'm gonna put a P tag here. Well, I tell you what. Yeah, okay, hold on. I'm gonna grab this guy and put it inside a P tag. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff to get back to just normal. So give me just a second to get everything back to the way it was before. So basically I have two unordered lists. One of them is inside a P tag and one of them is not. Okay, cool. So if I was to go here and say I want unordered list, let's just use color because it's easy. Okay, cool. So it means find every single UL there is and change the text to red. And so it did, right? But what if you only wanted the UL that was inside? In other words, I don't want all vacations. I want vacations in Texas. So I want to find the UL that's inside a P tag. You do this by just putting both tags in the line separated by a space. So what that means is find the P tag first, and then after you find it, then hunt for a UL tag. So this should find the P tag, got it. Find the UL tag, got it. Should change, goes to here, it says, nah, I don't have a P tag. So this is going to separate them out, and only one of these is going to turn. It didn't work. Aha! The reason that didn't work is because I have an error, a nesting error. You're not supposed to have a unordered list inside a paragraph. So I made a mistake. And in fact, if I'd run this through validation, it would have caught that error for me. But for now, what we'll do is we'll change this example to use block quotes and strong tags. I need another strong someplace, do I? Okay, here's a strong. A strong that's inside a paragraph. And here's a strong that's inside a block quote. And I only want the one inside the block quote. Okay, so let's try this and do block quote space strong. Yay! Okay, so it went in and said, okay, I want to find the block quote, but not every block quote, only the block quote inside something else, inside a strong tag. Now, do you think the order of this matters? Yeah. I mean, for example, if I did this opposite, if I said, find every strong tag, find every block quote inside strong, right? I don't think that exists, does it? So nothing got changed to red. So yeah, the order of these things matter because they're one inside another. So block quote, find block quote first, and after you find block quote, try to find a strong tag. Okay. Now, here's another weird one. Let's just say this space here is very important. If, for example, I was to put a comma in here, that does not mean the same thing. What that means is I'll take all block quotes and all strongs. Okay? And that is not. So all block quotes and all strongs. So that's an easy early mistake. So just space is using this descendant rule. Basically, how to narrow your search. It tells you the order in which you search. Please go find all block quotes. After you found them, find all strong tags. Cool. All right, once again, we've come up on the 15-minute mark, and we'll finish this off in just a few.